Hello folks, it's Phil the Miniature Model Maker coming to you today with part 4 of the Zaku 2 build. We're just checking to make sure that I am live. Everything is good. We seem to be working. Let's see here. Yes. And there we go. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for stopping by, folks. I do appreciate it. It's always fun to have people around when I'm working on my models. So in the last 3 streams, well, 2 full and 1 part, we built the legs and the backpack and started working on the torso. So that's what we've got here. Parts 18 and 10 and 6 for the frame. And then I went and started doing some cleaning on it, just cleaning up, because that's what we're doing in this stream. We're doing all of our... Oh my goodness, I need to stop poking myself with that. Where are my clippers here? There we go. We're doing the cleaning up and final assembly, because this little guy is going to get painted for the channel. We have our channel mascot. I've not named it yet, but we'll figure that out. Once the regulars come in, we can have a talk about it and see what we come up with. But for now, just doing some sanding, detailing, and those are taken care of. So now we'll go to this part here, and we know every single round piece has mold lines running through it, so just have to carefully touch it up, do what we can. And this is a really delicate piece. This ABS is soft already, and then having the very small connections between these little bit larger pieces just makes it even more so. And I hope everything is going well in your neck of the woods. It's a nice warm Saturday here. Spent some time outside a little bit ago, and now I'm coming in to do a stream while the house is quiet. And it'd be great if I could get this build done today, and we could start working on the painting for it. So I've done a lot of building lately, and want to get on to some of the painting. It'd be nice to have one of these fully painted before Phase 5 comes out. Oh, hello, Lord Bob. How are you? It's not a. It's exactly. I'm not going to just cheat it. No. This is the channel mascot. I've got to do everything just right, just like I do on all my builds. Well, okay. So there is that, and chances are good I might do a large, just green base coat, and then do the other colors over that. There's a high possibility, but I may also not. Depends on how I feel about it when we get closer to the time. Because There's a fair amount of purple on the color scheme for the mascot. And I'm not sure I'm going to feel like masking all of that. Maybe do a purple undercoat and then mask off those smaller parts and give it a green coat, which could be kind of cool. That might do some interesting things with the shadows. So how are things going over there where you are today? Because I like artifacts. I like miniature models. That's why this is the Miniature Model Maker channel. If I were going to make scale size models, I would be working on my Macross ones. I like artifacts. I really, really, really like artifacts, and that's what I want to be building. They're very cool kits. I've not tried SDs yet. Maybe one of these days. I have enough things to be working on that I don't really need to be getting any more models. Although I do have more on the way. More artifacts. Yes, I am absolutely for sure going to do that. There's enough excitement in the hobby space around that I think it would be both fun and good for the channels to do. I'm really hoping that the game rules are good. You know, if the rules are good and they give us decent customization options, like just a chart full of all the different weapons and costs for those weapons, instead of saying, okay, well, you have these mobile suits and they have this fixed loadout and you can't do anything else other than these models with that fixed loadout, I would be a little bit less. Um, that it depends. You know, I'm open to doing the 144 scale Gunpla too, because they're the smaller ones. I don't want to go bigger than that. The channel was originally a way for me to just videotape and live stream with folks while I built all of my kits, including my GW stuff. And it has kind of morphed into an artifact kit and an artifact channel for now. We'll see how it goes further in the future. And the YouTube algorithm being what it is, I think YouTube is going to stick to just some very specific things. But here on Twitch, I can do really whatever I want and not worry so much about that. So if I branch out into other things, it'll be over here on Twitch. Yeah, that small hex playfield. I saw a video of somebody covering reporting. So an American, I think it was American, an English-speaking journalist interviewed the guy in charge of the rules for Assemble, and he was talking about how it's heavily influenced by things like Warcry and BattleTech and some of the other skirmish style games where you've got lower model counts, not the army size things, and that in in the beginning it's going to be small scale, so it might be based off of hexes originally, but they did mention that a good possibility of doing something in the inches, or where you have to actually measure out and not use hexes, and could play on a more scenic field. That may come in the future, and I hope it does. I hope they've already delayed it a year, so I hope they take their time and research the tabletop world better to make a more robust game and playset game, really. I think originally when they were trying to hype it up, they had more the idea that it was going to be a thing that was partnered more closely with the card game than I think people wanted. I think the feedback that they've been getting has said really that the tabletop crew are more interested in this than they thought. So they may have taken a step back to reassess and come up with it. Yeah, I mean there are quite a few independent or miniatures agnostic games that you could use. Like you said, Mobile Suit Skirmish, the fan creation, or something like Gamma Wolves that Guerrilla Miniatures Games has made. That's miniature agnostic mecha game. You could even homebrew the BattleTech rules to use with the artifacts as they are now. And see, that's one of the really cool things I think about MSS. People being able to use their models and not to play the game. And I gotta say that it's the idea of seeing 6 to 8, 10-inch tall mecha on a large table is pretty neat. But these artifacts too, they're perfect. They're perfect scale for tabletop gaming. Just if everything about them other than their general delicateness, fragileness, is ideal for tabletop gaming, which is the one of the big reasons I got into them. Not only are they really cool kits and fun to build, but they're also very good for tabletop. So we'll see how they go. It will be nice to have an official rule set from Bandai. Just like it's nice to have the official rule set from Games Workshop, but it won't stop people from playing one-page rules or Space Weirdos or whatever if you prefer somebody else's rules. There's nothing stopping you from using any model, no matter what it is, in a game. Okay, I think that's done. So let's go ahead and oh wait, where's 14? Where are you? There you are. You wish what? Going to a corporate store with not official things is a no-no. Do it in your house, do it at your local club or whatever, but you don't go you don't go to a GW store wanting to play non-GW models. That's just rude in and of itself, and you know better. Go talk to the folks over Broadsword. I I don't know how close or far they are from you, but maybe they could have something for you. They're the only subgroup with that gatekeeping, and they're hardcore. The folks over at Broadsword, I can understand. They're very closely tied to GW. But you never know. Maybe somebody somewhere has an option for you. Well, that's because you're playing an officially licensed, officially made rule set and mini set. They've got everything covered. And like 40 something years of Warhammer before, well, let's call it 30 years of Warhammer before 3D printing came out. You've got a fairly established culture of using the official product in stores. I know plenty of people who, outside of official GW stores, will use 3D printed things, or 3D printing was first from Warhammer. I'm going to disagree with you on that. I don't remember 3D printing being around when I was a kid. Warhammer was around when I was young. They were still using metal models. So have I. Perhaps the technology was around, but the ability to print things at this scale was not. Or at least it wasn't available to manufacturers and individuals in their homes. Just like home computers starting out as keyboards. I remember those days. Commodore, Tandy, all that. Yep, we're very close in age. I'm just going through and cleaning up all the glue splooge left over from this while it was curing. I'm going to go check the other parts as well. Let me make sure. KPS cleanup is KPS? ABS? ABS. Yeah, it does. So it's on a scale of softness from your regular high impact polystyrene that your scale gunpowder made of, and then GW plastic being softer. This is slightly softer than GW plastic as far as scraping and cleaning. So it's pretty easy to clean. You just have to be careful to not go overboard with it. Because you can dig into this pretty hard if you're not careful. I will have to ask my wife to translate the side of the box. But if you have whatever that Google program is that'll run it, so it's a mix of ABS and ABS. That probably isn't showing up well enough on your screen to do any sort of translation. My understanding is that this is not a majorly custom blend of plastic. It's primarily just ABS. Because it's got to keep the cost down. I didn't know that. Today I learned something new. Thank you. And that would probably explain the general rigidity of this. Give it a little bit of extra strength. But it's still, in my experience with other plastics, fairly soft. And to be fair, I haven't tried scraping Lego, so I can't make any comparison there. All I have are my HIPS and GW kits. I am unfortunately not well versed in plastics. That's not a field I've really needed to know much about, so you're well ahead of the game on me there. Okay, so it's time to start putting this thing together. Got that glued. So then step 3 is putting these little boogers on. Limestone infused plastic. I wonder what that calcium carbonate would do to a material like this. Okay. So we have parts 45 and 29. They have a peg on this side that is going to be used later for these parts here, parts 48 and 32, which is why they're going on first. That's interesting. Okay, so orienting it this way with this part forward. Put that in there like so. Give it a little touch in the back. Yeah, you don't feel, Bob, remember that I am very, very, very new to Gunpla and Gundam. My artifacts are really my only major exposure to it and are how I'm learning about the rest of the world. Okay, so then we're pushing that in there, and then going to run a little bit of the glue back behind. And we hope that the other part, there we go. Good. And there's a little bit of splooge on the front, and that can be easily taken care of with a scribe. Almost. Got one more side to do. I'm just going to bring this tab down a little bit. Here we go. And I have to be careful to not screw up the one that's already in there when trying to get this one in. That's a hazard of building. There we go. It's one of the hazards of these artifacts. You can drop them, squeeze them, or whatever while you're trying to put another piece in and cause big problems for the one you just attached. Okay. And now, oh come on, you booger. we are. So now we let that sit and cure for a little bit. While looking at the next part, 4. Oh, luckily, that's good. Okay. Okay, so this peg hole up here goes into, fits this peg, and then this one is this larger one, and this small one down at the bottom is going into the skirt piece, which is why I'm letting it sit. Hello, bot. Thank you for the engagement. I do appreciate your comment. The algorithm likes it too. Keep it up. Alright, so now I think that's probably enough time. We will put our glue on here and up here first. Okay. Come on, buddy. Let's go. There we are. Okay. Popped. Now we put just a tiny tad right there. And then up, under, and gently push. And there we are. And there's a little bit right here for another attachment point. And then we work on the other side. Here we are. And gently push. And while that glue is drying, I'm going to hit the glue right back for a moment. I'll be right back. Alright. Now we can... What was I going to look at? Oh yes, I was going to do these. So we're going to let that torso part do some curing for a little bit and work on some very delicate pieces here. So these are these pieces from the legs. They almost, the first one almost broke off while I was putting the leg together the first time. So I decided to just cut the second one before I even tried it. And now we get to put them in the leg. No, we don't. I was wrong, because these parts have to be on there first. Let's take that back. Get some fresh glue tape. Put them on there. And put them back in my little bowl there. Okay. So now the next part of the torso is the head. I don't know why the head is the next part of the torso, but it is. So we will put it in after it's been cleaned up a little bit. And I have to be very careful to not wreck these tubes. Okay. Give you a very light sanding. To get rid of those mold lines. I have a feeling this is a step I'm going to have to repeat after priming, because I can't see the mold lines very well. I just have a pretty good idea of where they are based on the sprue marks. Okay. Now I don't really want to put this in. I want to paint it before I do. And it attaches to the interior of the torso front. Like so. So we're going to leave the head off for now. And put the torso on. Yes, I was able to get the head out of here when I took it apart, so I'm not terribly concerned about issues with it. If I have to trim it down a little bit and use super glue, I'm happy to do that, just to make sure that I have full access to the head when painting. And there we are. That's on. We will take some time and put a little bit up under there for our friend capillary action to work on. And call that good. That was 6. The next parts are 17 and 12. So they get oriented like so. So this is part 17, I believe. Nope. This is part 12. And this is part 17. Am I right? Am I? Was I right the first time, folks? I may have been right the first time. This big... Yep. The big piston does go downward. This little bit fills in this section here. So it goes like that. And again, we let our cement soak down in between the parts. Try and avoid getting it everywhere. If you do accidentally get a bit of glue somewhere, try and make it on a big surface that you can sand down. And then push. Yeah, that was a bit too much glue, but it's in the back. And that's very sandable. It's cement that melts and chemically welds the plastic. I understand. I've just been calling it model glue for so long that it's stuck. Alright, so looking here at these two pieces, you can see this one, its space came up at the top, at the bottom, and this one came up at the top. So there's a prime opportunity for doing some scribing to create, using the gaps to create other panel line details. That's why we try to not have excess on these things. Thankfully, I'm making a stream about building artifacts, and this is an artifact. So I'm giving tips for people to build their artifacts, not their scale kits. Folks, if you want to watch a stream about somebody making scale Gunpla, please look that up. Or go see Bob there. He knows quite a bit about making scale Gunpla. I do not. And I won't claim to. Okay, so our rear part here, part 14, this is the upper tab that goes into here, not here. And then there's a little depression that this piston fits into. But before we do anything, we want to dry fit. No, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I was wrong. This is the tab right here. This is for the backpack. Here's our tab. But we do want to look and see, yes, these mold holes, these depressions from the molding are going to be visible. So we're going to fix them. You too, Bob. Take care. And they're kind of deep, but they can be fixed. They'll just take a fair bit of sanding. Thankfully, this is a rear piece. And you could probably even fill it in. And that may be the better option if you have the time to do so. Take some of your preferred gap filler and just fill those in. Which I may do. So let's go ahead and do that on stream here. So I've got some of this Mr. Surfacer 500. I'm using the coarse grit as a gap filler. And that's enough for all three of them right there. Boop, boop, boop. And it will shrink a bit. So go ahead and make sure that it's not completely flat. That it does have some elevation to it. Well, shoot. Thankfully, that's surfacer, and we can wipe it off. Look at that, folks. That's the first time I've done that. That was quite the mistake. But you know what? It's a very easy fix with a little bit of sandpaper and a scribe. Not a problem at all. So we're going to take it again and try this one more time. Fill that there. Fill that there. And fill that there. Now we let it sit and cure. And if you're using this as a gap filler, one of these will last you forever on these little models. It's great. So that part is done. The next, so here, this is not, I don't know if this is the best step or not to put this on. So you've got a little tab. Well, got the little tab right here that fits into a very, very, very tiny slot here. So they're asking you to put this in now and then fit these into the backpack. I'm not sure that's the best way to go about doing it. When I first put this together, it did not work out very well that way. So I think I'm going to trim these down a little bit to help get them around the part and then glue them to the body and the backpack. So I got to make sure to leave some of the tab available. So there you go. That's how you see that. And again, if this, it may be possible to put the backpack on first, maybe trim this tab down a little bit, and glue this on while the backpack's there. In fact, I'm sure you could do that. So I'm going to do that because that's going to take a while to dry. And I want to get this piece on. again here a little bit. And in we go. Now by doing this, the head may not be able to slide in. Slide in, like I'm saying. Because, again, remember that this tab fits into a slot in the front here. So this tab goes in there. It may work. It may work. No, it doesn't. But what we can do is just cut this off, trim this back part a little bit, and we'll be just fine. That can be glued down, no problem. Okay, so we've got that set. Let's go ahead and do our best to not break this piece. Keeping the longer sections of this downward and the smaller ones upward. And there we go. Rah, 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 rah. Angry fill noises. This is not an easy piece to be messing with. There we go. Okay. So let's do that again. This slot fits around this piece here in front. That's the trick. And then the little tab behind it is what keeps it oriented correctly from the front, the torso piece. So there we go. Pop it in like that. And then we put our sides in like so. Oh, golly. There. There we go. Okay. So that's in place. That's how it needs to be. So it's going to get its drop of glue, cement. As Bob said, this is not glue, it's cement. It melts the plastic, and when it evaporates, that melted plastic has created a solid bond. It's now one piece. Okay. And now we're going to do the same thing over here. push. And push. Here we are. That is done. Thank goodness. How long have we been going? We've been going for an hour, which makes this perfect for the 60-minute mission over on YouTube. Please check out my YouTube channel. It's Miniature Model Maker, just like my name here, but without the underscores. The icon is the same. That's how you can tell it's me. I will be back later once this gap filler has finished curing to work on the rest of these and get the Zaku to put together. So I have been Phil the Miniature Model Maker, coming to you today with step 4 in our build of the Gundam Artifact Phase 4 Model 17 Zaku 2 High Mobility Type. Thank you very much for watching, and remember that this is a hobby. If it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it. Be good to yourselves. Bye-bye.